A day after deadly clashes across Bangladesh killed nearly 100 people, the country's Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has resigned and she's left the country following her resignation. This was confirmed by Bangladesh Army Chief Waqar-uz-Zaman. Addressing a press conference, the Bangladeshi Army Chief informed the media that an interim government will be formed soon.
Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has resigned. An interim government to be formed to look at the state of affairs. Keep patience, give us some time. We will be able to find solution to all the problems confronting the country. Please don't take the path of confrontation and return to the path of peace. It is taking a lot of toll on our country in terms of economy and the finances, which have gone down. People are dying, and let me assure you, I will take all the responsibility and a solution will be found.
লোকজন মারা যাচ্ছে তো এগুলো থেকে আপনারা বিরত হন এবং আমাদের সাহায্য করেন।
And authorities have closed the Hazrat Shah Jalal International Airport in Dhaka for 6 hours. Television visuals showed thousands of people pouring into the streets of capital Dhaka in jubilation and shouting slogans. Thousands have also stormed Hasina's official residence, shouting slogans, pumping fists and showing victory signs. Bangladesh has been engulfed by protests and violence that began last month after student groups demanded scrapping of a controversial quota system in government jobs. That escalated into a campaign to seek the ouster of Hasina, who has been in power for about more than 15 years and most recently swept to a 4th straight term in January this year. And in view of the ongoing developments in Bangladesh, India's Ministry of External Affairs has advised Indian nationals to exercise extreme caution and restrict their movement. The Ministry of External Affairs said that all Indian nationals presently in Bangladesh are advised to exercise extreme caution, restrict movements and remain in contact with High Commission of India in Dhaka through the following emergency numbers that are plus 880-195-838-367. These numbers we are flashing on your screens as well. 880-195-838-3680. The other number is 880-193-740-0591. I repeat, the numbers are plus 880-195-838-3679. The other number is plus 880-195-838-3680 and plus 880-193-740-0591. These are the numbers. These three numbers being flashed on your screens are the emergency numbers of the Indian High Commission in Bangladesh, where Indian nationals can get in touch with our High Commission in case of any emergency. And reacting to recent developments in Bangladesh, India's former High Commissioner to Bangladesh, Dr. Harshvardhan Shringla, indicated involvement of foreign powers that are inimical to Bangladesh's interests.
I would also look at it as an economic factor, and clearly, of course, as we have always said, opportunists, whether it's the opposition BNP or it's the Jamaat-e-Islami, which is the radical, pro-Pakistan Islamist grouping that is very active on the streets. They have joined the protests and they have actually brought in that violence into the protests. You cannot rule out the involvement of foreign powers who are inimical to Bangladesh's interests and frankly to our security interests also.
And I'm joined by my colleague Ramesh Ramachandran from the studio on the latest. Ramesh, what should we make of the former Foreign Secretary's comments? He served in Bangladesh as well, where he says that foreign powers there is an involvement of foreign powers that are inimical to Bangladesh's interests.
Indeed, Amrit, Ambassador Shringla made a point there, and he is not incorrect. Because the anti-quota protests have over the past week or so morphed or transformed into anti-government protests targeting in particular the government of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. And to that extent, Ambassador Shringla is correct when he says that the movement was infiltrated by forces inimical to Bangladesh's interests and by extension India's as well. Why? Because the opposition BNP, the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, and its affiliates, including the Jamaat-e-Islami and its cadres, had infiltrated this campaign or movement led by students to put pressure on the government of Sheikh Hasina, and that put paid to any hopes of an early resolution of the protracted conflict. But that's it, Amrit. Very quickly, if I can bring our viewers up to speed with two news lines coming in from Dhaka as we speak. One, the students themselves have said on Bangladesh television that they will get back to the army and the government, whatever is in place in Dhaka, with a framework for the formation of an interim government going forward. What the framework is, we don't know yet, but they say we'll come to the government with a framework for an interim government to put in place, number one. Number two, the army chief has said that he will himself sit down with the students and teachers to thrash out a consensus on the way forward. For his part, as we've been reporting here on DD India, Amrit, the army chief categorically telling students directly in so many words, please go back to where you came from, go back to schools, colleges, homes, stop the violence and trust the army to do the right thing, which is by extension one, form an interim government for which consultations will take place with the president of Bangladesh, number one. And number two, that he says he will also talk to all shades of political opinion going forward so that an interim government can be put in place as early as possible. So ironically, Amrit, Awami League of Sheikh Hasina, which was formed in the 50s as a students' movement, today has been done in by exactly that, a students' movement that ousted Sheikh Hasina from power.
Okay, Ramesh, there are disturbing news also coming in from Bangladesh. Some temples and homes of minority Hindus attacked. Are you hearing anything on that? And should that be a worrying development for the Indian establishment?
Absolutely, without doubt, Amrit, the fate or the safety of refugees and minorities in particular in Bangladesh, including Hindu minorities, is of immediate concern to New Delhi. And speculation is that some of them might try to make their way out of Bangladesh in the days or hours ahead and enter India, for which preparations are already being made as we speak. The porous border, remember, between Bangladesh and India is vulnerable to other forces also who might want to infiltrate or intrude into Indian territory. So that also is being taken care of as we speak. Reports suggest that the border security force, the paramilitary force guarding the international frontier of India, is already had put in place measures to deal with such contingencies in going forward. But that said, the reports about the attack on Hindu places of worship in Bangladesh is not new, and this is of immediate and serious concern to New Delhi because this might further worsen the situation for minorities and Hindu minorities at that in particular.
All right, that's a worrying development. We'll have to see how things develop there, how soon law and order is restored, which the army chief has promised to do, and in fact appealed to the protesters as well, and how the process of formation of the interim government takes place. Many thanks, Ramesh Ramachandran, for joining us for the moment.